Welcome to Mallett and Michelle on Dripping Springs, hosted by me, Michelle Lewis, and Steve Mallett.
Hey, Michelle, how are you?
Hola, Steve.
Hola. Oh, I think this is going to be a crazy one today. Hey, our guest today, David Ambrico, who is a clothing aficionado. I guess he's a bespoke. I don't know if he's actually a tailor.
A what?
A bespoke clothing maker. But he has a company where he helps people, men, not women, but with their styling, with their personal style, their uniform.
Actually, this is an intervention I didn't tell you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's an intervention.
You've been telling me to wear T-shirts.
Not just T-shirts.
That's what you said. T-shirts.
No, not T-shirts.
You need to get some style.
Graphic
get some T-shirts.
tees.
I'm like,
no.
What the hell am I going to do with T-shirts?
Graphic tees.
I have some, and I'm going to wear one tomorrow.
I don't want you wearing...
He's going to come in a 3-piece suit, and how's that going to look?
If you wear a V-neck T-shirt tomorrow and skinny jeans, I'm roasting you.
You better. I hope I never do that. I'm a 60-year-old freaking man.
I didn't say to wear like T-shirts. I said graphic tees, like things, like to elevate your style a little bit.
I'm trying to elevate my style. I'm hoping David Ambrico has some tips for me. How's that?
I hope so too.
Hey, we're rolling out a new thing on our website.
What's that?
It's a voicemail button. People can leave us voicemails. I actually have a couple of examples here. I'll play one for you right now.
Hey, Mallett and Michelle. Love the podcast. Thank y'all for all of the entertainment. But I do have a quick question. How long does your editing take after each show in order to censor Michelle?
10,000 hours per episode.
I only need to be edited when you make me hangry.
Hangry?
Yeah.
You're hangry all the time, Michelle.
I like snacks.
Here, I got another one. I think this is a dad joke, but here we go.
All right, this one's for Steve and Mrs. Lewis. Did you guys know that before the invention of the crowbar, the crows had to do their drinking at home? It's a yes or no question, and you can.
Oh, that's Johnny for Barton Creek AC.
Oh
but we're doing a contest.
Oh, are we?
Yeah, we're going to give away some stuff.
Oh, does it come off my desk?
It does. It comes off your desk. It comes out of your payroll.
Oh, okay. Well,
so next week your pay
better
will
go
be
to $5 and
$10
below
instead of $12. Yeah. No, we're going to give away some stuff. You go onto our website. You can do it on your phone or your computer, and you click on the little blue banner on the right-hand side, and it'll allow you to leave us a 30-second voicemail. And if it's good enough, we'll play it on the air.
What if they hate you? What if they say?
I'll still play it.
Oh, let's play it. Hey, send some hate voicemails to
Michelle.
To Steve. I'll
Please
cry.
send some hate. Yeah, you will.
I'll cry.
You're the one that everybody likes, according to you.
Yeah, I took a poll and I voted myself most popular.
You and Todd.
Yeah,
you had 100% response rate on you being the most popular.
Yeah, I am the most popular.
Oh, I'm gonna have to do that at home tonight, and then I'll win.
Hey, Steve. It's June. Summer's out, right? And I saw something, I think it was Dripping Springs. I don't know. It was something that came across the social media. The social media. Yeah, and
dungeon.
At Ranch Park down the street on 12 from June 8th through August 10th. They're going to have Tween night. So, tweens, that's
in-betweens.
Kids. And they're going to have skating and movies and snacks.
What age would that be?
Tween.
Well, between what? Between a teenager and an adult, or between a...
It's a tween. It's like before a teen. A tween is before a teen.
Oh, okay. So this would be 12-year-olds?
Yeah, or 11, 10, 11-year-olds. It's a good opportunity as a parent if you want to get the kids out of your hair for 2 hours. It's from 7 to 9.
Does it cost?
$10. I would pay $10 when my kids were 11 years old. I'd pay $20.
So you can walk around Target for an hour and a half, or you're not going to Target.
I don't
anymore.
go to Target anymore. Yeah.
No. Well, okay, we won't talk.
I don't
about
go
that.
to the cesspool Walmart either.
Yeah.
but only if I want entertainment.
There you go. Hey, did you hear about the gathering of the Kyles in Kyle? It was a couple weeks ago.
I actually did, because our former guest, Kyle Marchand. I don't know if he made it out there, but he said he was going to go out there.
Well, he should have gone because they missed the world record. How many did they have? I I think they needed to have like 2,200 and they had like 1,500 show up.
There's not enough Kyles in the world.
No, but I was thinking about that. It's like, they probably should. I know why they did it, because it's Kyle's in Kyle. And you think about, at first I thought, oh, you have to be gathered in the town that's named the same, but that's not the way it is. It's just to beat the world record. You just have to have, whatever it is, 2,300 Steves or 2,300 Michelles.
God, that would be miserable.
It would be miserable. But I thought about that and I was like, Steve and Michelle are such common names. You could probably find 1,000 Michelles in Costco on a Saturday afternoon.
But there's only one Michelle.
There's only one Michelle. Yeah.
You know what else happens in June? What happens in June? What is June most famous for right now? Nope, not that.
When the hot weather comes.
Yeah, not that. Father's Day.
Oh, that's right.
Did you celebrate Father's Day with your dad when you were kids? Did y'all make a big deal about it?
Yeah.
Did you
I thought it was a big deal. I don't know if he thought it was a big deal.
Did you give him stuff?
Yeah. Gave him a tie.
I know. Dads always get the crappiest
I remember
gifts,
one year he wanted a record. This was back when when all your audio equipment,
Yeah.
remember how that was? You'd have like a stack of audio equipment and you'd have this very fancy turntable with a super diamond needle,
Yeah.
and he'd lift up the little thing and he wanted a record. And so I went into the record store and was like, oh, $10. I'm not spending $10. And I went over to the little bargain aisle and I found an old Willie Nelson record for like 99 cents and I bought it. And I was so proud of myself. And
I
he was
bet
like,
it's $100 now.
probably. And he unwrapped it and he was like, oh, I never heard of this one. But it was, I did. I tried to put some effort into it.
Well, for some reason I would give my dad ducks. He never hunted. I don't know why I would give my dad ducks.
Like little yellow duckies?
No, like what are the little wooden ducks that would go on the shelf?
Decoys kind of things?
Yeah. I don't know why I did that.
He probably made a joke one time when you were
My
like
dad
6 years old about ducks and you thought, oh, Dad loves ducks.
My dad was the king of dad jokes. What was your most memorable Father's Day gift that you got?
That I got? Oh, boy. I always liked when I got stuff I could use around the house. I did get one year, my kids got me a Skill chainsaw, which I had.
I was just going to wait because you said my thing. What skill did they give you?
Yeah.
Well,
Skill chainsaw.
Okay.
But not Skill, Steel.
Oh, Steel.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. I'm already losing my mind. And I had that chainsaw for, I don't know, 15 years. And I ended up giving it to David Skinner, the former pastor of the Methodist Church.
I read that Father's Day started back in 1908, and it was a church in West Virginia. And there was like a coal mine explosion or something like that where over 300 dads had perished in this coal mine explosion.
Oh, wow.
And so it was the first, I guess, recognized of only fathers. And I guess somebody in the parish decided that, or the congregation, whatever religion you are, decided that there should be a Father's Day, just like there was a Mother's Day. So they're actually, just want to let you know, there was a Mother's Day before there was a Father's Day.
That doesn't surprise me at all, because the mothers had to get together and give permission to have a Father's Day.
Oh, shut up. Jeez.
You know, if you didn't want it to happen, it would never happen.
That's true.
It's true.
You know what a great Mother's Day is? When my kids were little, for me not to be around my kids.
I know, yeah. Did they ever bring you like one of those breakfasts that they destroyed the kitchen and brought you like burnt eggs and pancakes and toast? And you had to, and then they wanted to sit there and watch you eat it, and so you had to
peanut butter and mayonnaise sandwich or something. Yeah.
I don't think I ever allowed my kids to do that, but maybe I should have. Hey, do you ever get any of those spam texts?
Always, but yeah, I do.
How many do you think you get a day?
I haven't been getting them as often lately. I don't know why. Mainly my email is like filled with crazy spam, but
at least
I do
you have
get
a
them.
filter for that. The problem with texts is you can't
have no
filter.
filter.
you have no filter.
But you know what? It's
Michelle has no filter.
It happens normally a lot more during the election season, and God bless the people that send me those spams.
Well, yeah, at least you can. A lot of times those are legit and you can tell them stop and they'll stop. I'm talking about the ones that are like, your Walmart delivery is delayed. Click on this link to,
What kind of websites are you on that you're giving your phone number out to strangers that you're getting that kind of?
Michelle, my phone number is all over the internet. I run a real estate company.
Oh, yeah. Well, I also when I get mad at you, I sign you up for
sign me up for spam text.
That's me.
Well, you don't have to try very hard. In 2022, there were 375 million spam texts per day.
Texts?
Per day.
What?
Per day.
In the United States or worldwide?
Worldwide. That's 261,000 per minute.
Oh, that's
spam text
per
day.
Well, I think I signed up for something like maybe last year or something through AT&T because that's who my carrier is, and I don't know. I signed up for something
I'm with AT&T, and I signed up for that, and I get 3-4 a day every day.
You know, sometimes when you go to the mall and they're like that little person sitting out the kiosk and they're like, sign up for this and you get a free TV. Steve Mallett at malletintegrityteam.com.
Oh, yeah.
My phone number is.
Don't say it on the air.
I also have a couple of credit cards.
I'll be getting hate calls from California.
Credit cards in your name.
Yeah. I love all that stuff. Yeah. Texans actually got 10 million of these spam texts last year. And the top 5 scams are delivery scams, like we just talked about. COVID-19 scams, which are I'm sure those are dying down. Bank scams, which is like, hey, your account is on hold. Click here on this link to remove the hold.
I have gotten one of those before. Yeah.
Have you?
Uh-huh.
Most of those, like your bank's not going to text you out of the blue.
Yeah.
They might send you a code to get in your account. Apple hardware sweepstakes, which I've never gotten those, but that's the number 4. And then healthcare. Like because I'm a real estate broker, I get 20 texts a month saying, hi, I'm Sam, and I work with local realtors to get you the best healthcare rates. It's like, please leave me alone.
Didn't you just get was it a text that you got inviting you to a cocktails happy hour?
Yeah. Cocktails was spelled Cocktales.
Cocktails.
That's a rooster tail, people. Yeah. The one that has been going around the real estate world, and I think almost any real estate agent has experienced this one already, is somebody texts you and says, hey, it's Anthony. I'm on my new phone. And, hey, are you by HEB? Can you run in there and get me some gift cards?
Remember when we got that, our team did. And
everybody on the team got it.
I messed with him for a while.
Yeah, which is, it's a 12-year-old kid in something.
In Bangladesh.
Something Stan, yeah. And
something Stan.
Well, I mean, it really, it's probably some hacker somewhere. And maybe the success rate on those is 1 in 1,000, but all he's got to do is hit it. So the idea, I guess, is if you fall for it, you go to HEB and you buy 5, I think they ask for either Amazon or Apple cards, Apple Pay cards. And then they go, oh, hey, I'm sick. I can't come in. Can you just read me the codes off the back? And then they use them so I don't know who falls for those, but that's got to be the most common.
Yeah, but I'm sure probably people that aren't as technologically advanced like you and I are,
Oh, we're so technologically advanced.
I'm very well versed on technology. Yes, I am. No, not really. But I'm sure that like my mother-in-law would fall for it if she could see her text message. And I'm sure my father-in-law would fall for it if he wasn't on his 13th Facebook page.
Yeah. Don't you think then it's important for us to sit down with
your loved ones?
With your loved ones that are maybe older and not as technology savvy and say, hey, look, you're not ever going to get a text from Walmart saying your order's delayed. Don't click on that link.
In our family, we don't do that. We roast you if you're that stupid to do that.
Well, people do fall for it.
I know. It is a shame.
Yeah. In 2021, over $10 billion was lost in text scams, people that fell for stuff. And it's not like it's, somebody's getting 50 grand. These are $100 at a time, $50 at a time. Somebody gives a gift card over the phone or the link. I guess if you log in, if it says, hey, your bank account is locked down, and you click on that link and it looks like Bank of America or whatever, and you log in, they'll have your login and password.
There's this guy on TikTok that I watch, and he reverse log. I don't know how he does it, but he reverse hacks into them and hacks into their cameras. And so like wherever they are in India or wherever, and they'll say, hello, my name is Steve. And he's like, well, really, is your name really Steve? First he goes along with it. Right. And he gets them to pretend like he's giving them access to his computer, and somehow it gives him a gateway to get into their computer. And he really knows
these are the people in India or wherever it
and
is
so
that they're trying to hack you.
So Joe Blow or whatever in the States, he's hacking into them, and he's like, oh, really? So your name is really whatever. And then he will like shut all of their computers down.
Oh, geez. Hallelujah.
It's pretty funny.
Is there a YouTube video of that? Because I would get so much thrill out of seeing them do
I'll have
that.
to watch it. I'll have to show it to you later. But it is pretty funny.
I think the amount of time we spend between phone calls that are spam, texts that are spam, and emails that are spam, it's got to be millions and millions of hours a year across the country. Just wasted on nothing, on absolutely nothing. Go get a freaking job, people.
You know what? I think sometimes working is just wasted.
Well, that is true. That's for sure. Hey, well, let's get David Ambrico in here.
Oh, your intervention will begin in 3,
Jeez,
2,
you're scaring me, Michelle.
This portion of the show is brought to you by the Mallett Integrity Team of real estate professionals. They are based in Dripping Springs and bring you over 45 years of combined experience helping people reach their hill country real estate dreams. When you want the best in town, call them at 512-829-2062 or look them up at mallettintegrityteam.com. And now, here's Steve and Michelle.
And we're back. We're here with David Ambrico, who is a personal branding consultant. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. How did you end up in Dripping Springs, and when did you move here?
Let's see. I guess it was 2014. We were living in the Dallas area, and we were looking for a home, and we had just moved back to Texas. And let me think what my wife has family down here.
Okay.
And she said, we go to Austin all the time. Why don't we live there? And it was like, it never dawned on me. It's a great idea. So she goes, I'm going to start looking. It's like, great. And then, and here we are 9 years later.
9 years later.
Yeah. Boy, time has flown, huh?
Yeah.
You didn't grow up in Dallas?
I did not. Grew up in Los Angeles.
Ooh, okay. Another Californian.
Yeah.
One of many we've had on the show.
Yeah, but I got here early.
Yeah.
You were the first wave. The first wave.
Even before that, I got here in 89.
Oh, you've been here a while.
Yeah.
You've been here longer than me.
I think I've been in Texas longer than I was in California.
Wow.
Oh.
So back then, I moved to California about a little bit before you left. What made you leave then? Because it was actually still pretty cool then.
It was. It was a recession. It was 1989. I was engaged to a girlfriend. We got engaged. She got a job offer, and I was bored with my career at the time. Oh. So we were looking at, she was in advertising. And
Dallas is the place to be for that.
Pretty much. Yeah, it was New York, Virginia, or Dallas. And we came out to, she came out, did the interview, said she liked it. She brought me out. Actually, I think I came with her. And we looked around and said, yeah, this is it. So she got the job offer and we settled in Dallas. When we first got here, we hated it. We really did. It was just culturally so different. Yeah. Within 2 years, it's like there's no place we'd rather be at the time.
Do you consider yourself now a Texan?
I consider myself an Austinite.
Oh,
there you go.
So it's not that I'm not from Texas, I'm from Austin.
Oh, well, that's interesting. Yeah. I haven't heard it in that term.
Yeah. Did you go to school in LA?
Yes, I got it. So I get out of the military. That's my.
You were in the Air Force.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. Thank you for your service.
Yeah, thank you for your service.
Yeah, it's my friends that were all like Marines were saying, "Why'd you go Air Force?" I said, "Because I outscored you in the ASVAB."
That's right. That's what my son's in the Coast Guard. We do the same thing. It's like, he's sorry about his scoring higher on the ASVAB than you did.
That's it. My brother-in-law's a Coastie.
Oh, really?
Yeah. In fact, we hit every branch in my family.
Oh, nice.
So my other brother-in-law's Navy. He was a diver. Actually, I think he was a SEAL, but he doesn't talk about it.
Yeah.
And now he's a San Francisco cop, which is funny because his sister was a cop and his other sister was a cop.
My son's stationed in San Francisco with the Coast Guard.
Really?
Yeah, he's a rescue swimmer in the Coast Guard. So he's
great job.
It's your tax dollars.
I didn't know he was a rescue
You didn't know
swimmer.
that? I didn't know you were a runner.
David, she says that every
episode.
Tate, shout out to Tate.
You know what? Well, when he goes to medical school, I told him nobody's going to care that you're in medical school anymore. You won't have a cool job anymore.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. So how did you? So your degree was in
finance? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no.
Okay.
So let me back this up. So I got out of the military and I had no direction whatsoever, no clue what I wanted to do. I just knew I didn't want to be a cop because that's what I did in the military. And so I get out and I drove by this school. It was a fashion college and I saw nothing but women. And that's how I made my decision.
That's a good spot.
Some of the best decisions in life are made by, wow, look at all the women over there.
Yeah, I think it was like 1,200 students.
Oh, man.
And 50 guys.
Wow.
So the odds were great.
Yeah.
And that's how I ended up.
And the truth comes out.
Yeah.
How did you get started in fashion?
That was it. There was no, I didn't dream to be a designer. My mother sewed. I used to play around on her sewing machine just because I thought it was kind of cool. And, but I had no deep desire to be in fashion or anything of the sort.
So how long was that school? How long were you there?
It was a 2-year program. I went for a year. And then the halfway point, Macy's came to call, just basically on campus looking for the merchandising students. And they really liked me. I interviewed really well. So they said, when you finish the program, actually Macy's at the time was hiring only 4-year grads. They said, when you finish the program, transfer over to Long Beach State or do something like that, finish your degree, and then come up and see us. And that summer, this is a great story. I totally bluffed my way into the job. So I went up to visit a girlfriend during the summer break, and I stopped in and essentially said, I'm here for the interview. And they said, well, we don't have you down. I said, really? Well, you had me, scheduled at 1:00. I just made it up. They said, well,
fake it till you make it.
Sorry, let us usher you in. So they said, let's get you worked into the schedule. So they were interviewing for what they call their executive training program, and they were training their buyers. And we had the interview, went really, really well. And they said, well, once you finish school, we'd love you to come back. And I said, well, wait a minute. I said, I just interviewed with Emporium Capwell, which is our big rival in San Francisco. And I said, they're expecting a yes or a no. And I told them that I had an interview here. So I kind of need to know if we're going to, if I'm working for you or your competition.
Yeah.
And they said, excuse me. The woman gets up, goes in the back, comes back with a packet. She said, we'd like to make you an offer.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's amazing
there's
story.
There's a lesson there for all the young kids out there. Don't just wait for things to happen to you. Make them happen.
Said I was really tenacious at the time.
Yeah.
So, and I worked really hard and worked my way up through the Macy's buying program.
Wow.
So you go through the buying office where you work for a really, really small department, and then you go back to the store and you're a department manager for a very small department. And then you go back to the buying office, a little bigger responsibility, back to the store, more responsibility, till you're a full-on buyer or running a store.
Okay.
So are you going to fashion shows and seeing kind of like you're
not yet, not at that point. Uh-huh. What happened was I was there for about 2 years, and I started. This is way before computers and the inventory codes. So I created my own inventory company because a lot of for the menswear, womenswear too, but for menswear, you had count and fill. So if you were carrying shirts from Yves Saint Laurent or Ralph Lauren or whoever it was, they relied on their juniors or the wholesalers would rely on someone to go into the store and actually count their inventory to put it in order. And I basically networked all my college friends that were still in school and said, hey, let's create this business. So I started running this business.
So the companies would contract with them to go in and go, hey, we need 1, 2, 2, 3, 1 on the small through extra large.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I did that for, 40 Broadway stores, 50, 60 Macy's stores. And they were so many different department stores back then, before computers. So I ended up making more, like 3 times more doing the inventory than I was at my job at Macy's. And then through that, a lot of contacts. And next thing I know, I had a call from Arnie Feldman from Calvin Klein.
Oh, wow.
And he flew me down to Los Angeles, which was really bizarre to me. It's like, why are you flying me down? Why aren't we having this conversation over the phone for me to count your underwear? Because they were launching this new underwear line. And we're talking about it. And he says, wait a minute, you understand this is a job interview? I said, no, I thought you wanted me to interview or, count your underwear. And he goes, no. And I said, wow, that's really odd. In fact, I think I told him the designer underwear was the dumbest idea I'd ever heard at this point.
Oh boy, you were wrong.
And next thing I know, I'm now the first West Coast rep for Calvin Klein underwear.
Wow.
So were you going into the retailers as their rep?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
To present the product, like say, here's the spring line of designer underwear kind of thing. Yeah.
Calvin Klein put underwear on the map.
Yeah, they didn't they?
Yeah. And everyone always asks, well, headed off at the pass here. It was not the Marky Mark days. This was Tom Hittenhouse, who was the very first model. He was he was Olympian, and I can't remember the event. It was like decathlon
or something.
Yeah. So.
Wow,
You mentioned in your bio something about Wall Street. Where did you were in finance at some point?
Yeah.
You're still in finance, right? That's your day job, right?
Yeah. Oh, you're still doing that now?
Yeah. Okay. So actually, the way that happened, that was really bizarre. As a little kid, I got stock for a birthday present from one of my uncles, and I was always interested in the stock market. And then what really built onto that was my 3rd grade teacher got engaged to a stockbroker. So for her to learn how it worked, she used to bring in the Wall Street Journal to my 3rd grade class and make everyone read it and talk about it. So I figured this out years and years later, but that was so she could have conversations with her fiance and basically keep up with it at work. So
that's funny.
Yeah, it really is. Long story. So I'm working at Nordstrom, and this is years later, and I'm working at Nordstrom, and one of my buyers is, I got a call from New Jersey. A friend of mine that was a divisional in New Jersey called me up to say, how do I allocate my 401k? So I started going through the whole thing with him about asset allocation, risk, reward scenarios. Buyer spins around in his chair when I hung up the phone. He says, how do you know that stuff? And I just said, well, I really like it. And I just started reading about it. So he said, I just spent like $3,000 with IDS or American Express or whoever it was, doing exactly what you just told him for free. He goes, you should do that. And it was at a time where getting back to tying the loop together was my fiance at the time took the job in Dallas. So I was leaving my position, coming out here without any idea what I was going to do. And I still didn't have my degree. So got out here and just started interviewing, doing informational interviews.
And this was in the finance world.
Yeah. I started interviewing to be a stockbroker. And again, being really tenacious, I wouldn't stop. And it started off being informational interviews. So it was just a lot of Q&A. And when you show up in those, they tend to be more forgiving and more, hey, you might be good at this. So I remember taking a math test and I failed it miserably. And I remember saying to the branch manager at Prudential Securities up in Dallas, I said, we're getting along really well. I think I can do this job. I said, any chance I could retake the test? He goes, I don't think you have to.
You were hired.
Pretty much.
Wow. Man.
That's interesting. That's really interesting. It's like your life has really kind of taken many twists and turns and
not all of them were by accident. You have a lot of intention in your life. You put your mind to something and then you just go out and do it.
Yeah, that was something I had to overcome because I didn't have a degree at that time. It's funny. I ended up, and because of my experience, years later, because of my experience in the investment world, I ended up getting passed over for a senior position because I didn't have my degree.
Yeah.
And my
That's
wife,
so stupid.
my wife finally said, look, go back to school. And this was 2012, 13. Was it 13 or 14? Anyway, I had enough credits where I pretty much went online and
Got your degree.
and got my degree. So in 2015, I walked.
I think the biggest lesson there for me is that I hear a lot of people complaining about their lives, like, I don't get a break and I'm so unlucky and life's just hand me a bit.
Create the life you want.
Exactly. There's the lesson right there. You create the life that you decide you want to have. And it may not be exactly what you dreamed of, but you can set your own path.
Uh-huh. So your title now, what we've kind of introduced you as, was the personal branding consultant. And so how are we tying what you did in your currently is your daytime job, right? And your passion. How are we tying those two together?
So as an advisor, I built my own brand within the company I work for. I never said I worked for Merrill Lynch or any of the companies. It was always the Ambrico group. And that was early on. A lot of years and years ago, people would always identify who they worked for, but it was always myself, even before I left to go out on my own. And I built a brand, and this is back in the mid-90s, before the term brand was really used. And it was really when I left what they call the wirehouses and went out on my own as a RIA, I had a pretty substantial brand built. And then from there, I ended up selling. It was really easy to sell because I had everything kind of built in. And then I went to work for an investment company, and our value proposition was going to our advisors were our clients. We were trying to get them to use our investment products. But what we did was we built a turnkey asset management program.
Okay.
And the way we'd approach them was, if you outsource everything to us, we will focus on the stuff that's really important to you. And that is just helping you spend more time with prospects and clients. And from that, it just developed into personal branding, helping them articulate a value proposition, everything it was to really build brand. And there was the early 2000s. So that's where it started. But back when I was an advisor, because of my clothing background, that's how I differentiated myself, was how I dressed.
Oh.
So I
was going to ask you, have you always had this sense of style, and were you known by that?
Yes.
Because, being in the real estate world, it was back in the day, you'd have the yellow jackets, right? Or here in Dripping Springs, people were known, in the earlier days, by their 10-gallon hat or their handlebar mustache, that kind of thing. And so you're trying to identify yourself in a niche, right? In a niche market. So you've kind of taken that step further and just like, look, personal brand your persona, right?
Yeah. How many times, especially with the onset of the internet, where people, you have this persona about yourself, but yet your web presence looked totally different the way you looked. Mm-hmm. So what I initially tried to do was just make that cohesive. Mm-hmm. So what you looked like on the web was what you look like, and then bring that all together. And then from that, just develop it, and then back it out and saying, okay, it started off with avatars. In a perfect world, who are you? Are you Batman? Are you Superman? Are you a villain, a Bond villain? Let's get everything about who you are. Let's start getting you to dress that way, look that way, and make sure your website reflected that. So when a prospective client went and looked you up and they met you, there was, complete,
it was cohesive. It wasn't like that. Well, I wasn't expecting this. It was, like if I look on your website, davidambrico.com, that's what you look like. I've met you now, and that's who you are. Yeah.
So there's a consistency there where if I walked in cargo shorts and a t-shirt, it might be, I could say, it's a day off, but
right.
It's funny because when I first started working for Steve, we were trying, I came from a marketing background, and so I was trying to kind of figure out how to market Mallett Integrity Team. and it was going through this kind of little reorg almost. And I said, stop reinventing, your brand, who you are, and what is important to you. You're a runner, right? And he already had the vanity plates, realtor runner, and it's like, let's capitalize. Let's go down that path, and that's who you are. You are a realtor runner, and a lot of people identify him with that.
Right. Yeah. It's brought us a lot of business. So pretty visible in the running community. So a lot of people come to me. The initial introduction is the running part of things, but I'm kind of curious because when COVID hit, it was like, well, first of all, people were working from home in their PJs, but even in the offices now, it's like casual Friday every day.
Yeah.
Even in the professional offices, I'm sure you're going into finance offices. Yeah. How are you battling that?
Teaching people how to dress. Let me back it up. I believe strongly that how you dress or dressing your clothing is a communication tool. So it's how you want to show up and how you want to affect the relationship with your prospective client or your current clients. Now, in finance especially, there's a lot of people that are, hey, my clients are casual. They wear shorts and T-shirts and they're pretty casual, and they certainly don't want me to show up in a suit.
Right.
And I understand that. But at the same time, when you do show up dressed, maybe not a suit, but if you're wearing a sport coat, pair of nice jeans, pair of cool, dress sneakers or something like that, they're going to go, that's pretty cool.
Well, if you're consistently showing up where you're to a prospective business or client, and you're showing up in basketball shorts and high tops and a T-shirt, if that is your brand, well, for me, especially for houses, it's your biggest personal investment, where the majority of people, their money is in that home. And if I'm hiring a professional and they're showing up in basketball shorts, it's like, it sounds shallow on one hand, but on the other hand, it's like, we're judging a book by its cover a
100%.
little bit, right?
No, we are. We do it all the time. And the thing about it is, if you don't do it purposefully, then you're doing it by happenstance, and you never know where that's going to go. So you talked about, my first interviews and getting a job, very deliberate. So I try to figure out, okay, what can I control? I can't control everything about the relationship or even the introduction, but I can, or at least I hope to affect how I'm perceived.
Yeah, so that's interesting to me because Michelle and I have talked about this on the show. I'm trying to find sort of my first 15 years in this business, chinos, slacks, button-down shirt. I'd be out walking around on a property in slacks and a long sleeve shirt and loafers, and I'm walking around in the grass and the dirt. Didn't even make any sense. And now, I've kind of maybe gone a little bit the other way where it's more casual, but you seem to maybe have like a balance there. Like the suit you're wearing today is totally appropriate for what we're doing. How do you, but there are probably situations where you're overdressed. Just going back to that, how are you battling this where we're just dumbing it down to, like Michelle's point, basketball shorts and a polo shirt,
Fit.
Yeah.
Yeah. It comes into, if a polo shirt is what you want to wear and you feel appropriate, let's get one that fits you.
Okay. I know that makes a difference. I've been discovering things that fit me a lot better. And used to be I would wear a large shirt, and now it's a large shirt just hangs off me, for one reason.
Well, there's also a lot of bullying that goes on between Steve and I. It is, right?
Yeah, well, yeah.
It is.
She keeps me on my toes.
It's out of love. It's out of love.
Yeah.
But I feel
I'm
like
not sure about that. So.
I did. Well, it is, Steve.
Yeah.
I feel like, especially with our podcast now, we're more public figures. I'm using air quotes. And look, Steve's a good-looking, fit man,
Damn,
right?
She's going to hit me up for a raise again.
That's how you do it.
Okay, that's he's a good-looking, fit guy, and I think that he should capitalize on that. But also, he's like, I'm getting up there. I'm like, no, you're not. You are as old as you feel, and I think that he has a hip factor about him, and so I have I know you roll your eyes a little bit about that, but I do. I think
that takes me to one of my questions, David, because you're talking about clothes. I was reading an article in the paper this morning and online, and it showed two congressmen standing there, and they were both wearing suits and ties.
Oh, and then you have Fetterman.
Fetterman. But they honestly, they didn't look that great. I mean, they were wearing the uniform, but they didn't look that good. And part of it, I think, was they probably didn't take very good care of themselves. And part of it was the fit, which comes back to what you're talking about.
Fit is everything. It really is.
Yeah. So what do you see are the most common mistakes a guy makes when he's trying to figure out what is appropriate to wear professionally?
Understanding his audience, understanding himself and his brand.
Wow.
The fit.
So fit, that's the second time you said it. So that's got to be one of the most important things.
It is.
But fit is a little subjective, right? There's some guys, or do you go into like a guy that is comfortable in dad jeans and you say, those don't look those don't look right on you.
You can wear jeans, but let's get the fit correct.
But do you ever have guys that you go, you know what, the dad jeans got to go, and you put them in something else, they go, I cannot wear these.
No, it happens.
Yeah.
It does. So it's one of those things where, what do they say? When the student's ready, the teacher will show up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that. It's you. I don't go out of my way to tell people what they should and shouldn't wear. I have an opinion, but I keep it to myself unless asked.
Sit next to me. I'll.
Yeah. Well, if somebody hires you to be their personal branding consultant, what does that journey look like?
Well, we go through a closet audit. Actually, even before we do that, I sit down with them. It's really funny. It's very consultative. It's like an investment advisor.
Uh-huh.
Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? So it's like, how do you see your life? What are your career goals? What's going on? What happens a lot is, especially for guys, well, I work with women too. But for men, it's mostly life changes. I just got promoted from middle management to C-suite. I need to change my look up. What's another one? Divorce, big.
Oh, like I can see a lot of my divorced friends like, oh, he decided to finally, maybe if you did that while you're married, maybe.
That's part of it too. In fact, that's some heated conversations with some guys. It's like, my wife picks out everything. And here's where it can get really dicey. It's like, you have 2 kids. Now she has a third because she's been dressing you.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, stand up. Put your own pants on.
I don't have a problem with that, dressing my husband. Actually, what I do is if I want him to wear something in particular, and I've transcended this to my daughter-in-law for my middle son, just pull the arm out in the closet, because normally what he does is he goes to the first thing he sees, and if I just kind of pull the arm, and I'll go, what a good boy, look at you, you dressed yourself.
Todd's pretty smart. He knows you're playing that game.
Look, I'm all about, I feel like you should come out with a line, I've said this for a long time, is adult men garanimals, where you...
I do.
Yeah, okay.
You do? You have it?
Yeah, dress
Sort
the
of.
giraffe. Yeah, okay.
So you asked, so it goes through a consultation or a consultative. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? What's this for? Is it work? Is it play? Is it dating? Is it, rekindling the relationship with your spouse or girlfriend or both? Not at the same time.
Yeah.
Kidding.
Yeah.
And then it's a closet audit. So once I get a picture of what it is you want to look like or how you see yourself, and if you don't have a high opinion about that, then it's going back and let's talk about that. Let's build it up and let's talk about some of the things you do, your run, your fit. So let's look in your closet and see what's appropriate and what's not. Start pulling stuff out, and then you have to try it on, make sure it fits you the way it should. If not, we have a stack that goes to the alterations. And then if not, then we either help you shop for it or I make it for you.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. You actually sew stuff?
I don't anymore.
Okay. So when you say you make it for you take it to some.
I have 3 manufacturers.
Okay.
So I have.
But you're taking all the measurements and the fit,
yes.
right? You're measuring for the fit you think would look best on someone.
Correct.
Okay. Well, when I was reading about you, as Steve calls it, when I was stalking you, one word came up over and over and over again when I was reading past interviews or reading things that you've said about yourself. And that word was masculine, and about celebrating the masculinity in the way men dress. And I'm all for that. I'm a big proponent of that. But what does the word masculine mean to you? And then kind of just follow up on that. There's been so many yucky things about this toxic masculinity. And like, I think one doesn't necessarily mean the other. You know, I think that.
What does it mean to you?
What does it mean to you? This masculinity, to be masculine.
Yeah. So I grew up in an era. Today's the anniversary of D-Day. My father was there.
Wow.
So I grew up. I'm 20 years younger than my siblings. So I grew up in an era where they were the greatest generation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I grew up watching old movies, listening to big band music, and that's what I grew up with. Thought Humphrey Bogart was like the coolest dude around.
Yeah.
And I also grew up in an era or an environment where I was expected to street fight or not back down in elementary school, so I realized as I got older, that wasn't necessarily the best thing to do. And I advocated for my son to be, able to defend himself, but not on the verge of fighting all the time. It's also, he was born in 2000, so the world had changed quite a bit.
Yeah.
But I do believe strongly that, how do I say this? That there is a divide between masculine and feminine. But I don't believe that it's, the aggressiveness and all the other things that I think you could be a gentle man. And that's what I've really come full circle.
Also, the thought occurred to me is that masculine doesn't necessarily have to have a gender assigned to it, because I've seen that in your clothing wear that you have dressed women in some of your suits.
Quite a few, yes.
That's really cool. I mean, there was one wedding. You did a wedding, right? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. Ashley, she dreamed of her bride wore a white dress, and she wanted a white suit that looked like a tuxedo, but she wanted multiple purpose or to be purposed multiple times. Mm-hmm. So, it was a fun project, great person to work with, and it led to quite a few others that I've done. So I recently did a project, or I did it last year for a local woman that she asked me, she said, that suit that Blake Lively wore? And I said, yeah, as a matter of fact, I do. It's great. And she said, can you do something like that for me? And I said, absolutely. Turned out phenomenal. Huh.
So I guess you're not going to approve when I wear yoga pants into work.
Hey, which she does quite often.
No, I don't do it quite often. I remember I had a, that was after COVID. We weren't seeing anybody in the office.
I know.
And I decided that I wasn't gonna do it as often. But can you share some like positive stories, or like you're saying success stories? Someone that you've totally changed or transformed their wardrobe.
So I was downtown 2-3 weeks ago and meeting with a friend of mine, and we had lunch. And on the way back, I saw someone coming up on the corner out of my periphery, and all I saw was this striking blue suit, great silhouette, a really chiseled silhouette. And he said, David. And I turned around, and it was one of my clients wearing one of my suits.
That's cool.
And the great, what's happened is he's excelled in his career. So he's a young guy. He's probably 25 and went to work for a big investment company. And within his group, he's been getting promoted and kind of rising above. They've noticed the way he's dressed. And that's the one discerning difference between his peer group, is that he dresses just a little sharper, a little more specific.
He stands out.
Yeah, he does.
So what's it cost to, that guy's 25 years old and he wants to move up in his company, and he comes to you. What does it cost for your services roughly? And what does it cost for them to redo their wardrobe?
On average,
On average.
It really depends on what needs to be done. However, for Dylan, it was, I think the first suit we ever put him into was just under $1,000. It's not cheap, but it's certainly not. I mean,
not if you're investing in your career to make hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, a personal laptop's going to cost thousands of bucks.
David, I've seen this over and over on social media, and it was about men's style. And there's this like little clip that goes around, and there's some basic wardrobe essentials that every professional man needs to have. They need to have a blue suit, a black suit, and a brown suit or whatever. And then the white shirt, the blue shirt, the whatever. But like, in your opinion, what do you recommend?
Yeah. What are the essentials that every man should have in the wardrobe?
So we call it a capsule wardrobe. And what we try to do is get as much bang for your buck as you possibly can, especially if you're laying out the kind of money that I'm going to charge.
But you know, $1,000 for a suit that you're going to wear, that's going to be, it's fit to you exactly the way that's
and it's more of a timeless design, right?
Yeah. It is. Yeah, they're classic. All my design inspiration really comes from the 30s. So that golden age of Hollywood before it got too wild or, too frumpy.
The trifecta, right? The Cary Grant, Paul Newman, and Steve McQueen of style, right? Or, I mean, obviously that's not the 30s, but that's what they were saying. The holy grail of fashion icon for men is.
Yeah. 30s really changed everything. It's when they introduced what was called sportswear. It wasn't sportswear. It became sport coats and something more casual in regard to the era. So prior to that, everyone was wearing frock suits or things that were very, very rigid and stiff. If you look at the 20s, the way you could look back on that would be looking at, what was that show? Boardwalk. It was
from the 20s?
Show. Yeah, it wasn't in the 20s. It was of the 20s.
Okay.
Boardwalk Empire.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Boardwalk Empire took place in the 20s, and everything was very, very rigid and very stiff. There were some cool characters and that were embellished in terms of what they look like. But it was really the 30s that really changed the dynamic of menswear. And where was I going? Oh, we're talking about the essentials. So the essentials are really a Navy suit, and you would do that because you could also wear it as a Navy sport coat.
Oh, gotcha.
I'm not a big fan of black as a core suit. I think you could easily be mistaken for being a waiter.
Or James Bond.
Or looking like trying to be James Bond, especially during the day. Yeah. Black suits are fine at night.
Sure.
But during the day, and there's a lot of people that would disagree with that, but that's just my take on it. But a classic gray suit, a Navy suit, and then some type of a Glen plaid would be a third if you're going to do a third suit. If not, I would get, maybe one or two different sport coats and then some multiple trousers. I almost said slacks.
What's the difference between a trouser and a slack?
There is no difference at all.
It's just wording.
Yeah, it's where you're from.
Oh,
East Coast,
really?
West
there you
Coast.
go.
Yeah.
And do you recommend like more of a
So I
casual?
expect you to say, Steve, are you wearing trousers today?
Are you
Not
wearing
Steve,
trousers?
are you wearing pants?
Are you wearing trousers? Dude, like, do you have a casual wardrobe or a capsule? Like, jeans and...
Yeah. Chinos, pair of jeans.
Chinos with the crease or without?
Or pleats?
It really depends on your style. I like both. And I rarely wear the ones with the crease. I wear them more casual.
Right.
So I like chinos with no crease, with tennis shoes
Yeah,
or
like
loafers.
I like that look.
And a sport coat and a T-shirt or something like that. But
How
people
much
go, oh
of-
my God, no, don't ever wear that.
So I've seen guys that are wearing really nice clothes that look like hell. So how much of it is the attitude? Like, I know with what you're wearing, you look fantastic in it.
Thank
I
you.
couldn't pull that off. I don't, and it's only because my attitude of how I'd feel about myself.
But that's not your brand.
But I'm with you. But
Yeah.
so that's what my question is. How much is it the attitude of like, this is me, this is what I'm wearing? And if it is, how do you train those guys to have that attitude?
You have to be willing. It's one of those things where you have to be looking to say something about whatever I'm doing has got to change. And if you like who you are, you like how you're dressed, you like everything about it, and it's working for you, don't change it.
Yeah.
But be authentic to who you are, right?
100%.
Like, because I mean, if you're totally doing somebody, if a 25-year-old, I think would, in my mind, would be a little bit more moldable, than a 60-year-old because you've had all this years, and like this younger style now is just the sloppy basketball socks. It's not even a graphic tee. It's just like some old T-shirt that probably mom bought for them, still stuck in their closet, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, generational dressing is a thing.
Generational dressing, interesting.
And
Yeah.
one of the things that especially for people men plus 50. I guess it's the same with women. You don't want to look like you're 25.
Trying to be hipster.
Yeah. That's just
I've
a horrible
struggled
look.
with that. Yeah. Because there's some things that, I could have pulled off when I was 25 years old, but now it just looks like I'm trying too hard. And so, but I do want to look sort of trendy and up to date, but I also don't want to look like I'm trying to do that.
I use the word relevant a lot. Try to look relevant.
One of the things that I notice is, like, if I'm thinking about, a different shirt or a different style or a different kind of pants, you can go find tons of stuff on the internet about how that looks on a person.
Stitch Fix. I was going to ask.
Yeah. You were going to ask about. So I don't do it anymore, but I did Stitch Fix for a long time. Have you ever had any experience with that?
My wife was a Stitch Fix.
Stitch Fixer.
Her experience was, it was really exciting the first 2 or 3 boxes. Yeah. And then the more she got, the more she returned to the point where she just turned it off.
But I could see that somebody like a young man that wouldn't have the opportunity to kind of, or the funds to sit in front of somebody like you. I think it's kind of the difference between somebody who's going to go pay to have their resume done, right? This is their personal style resume versus somebody that just kind of gets it off of,
it's funny
Indeed.
Because they say there's personal stylists, but I'm willing to bet you it's an algorithm. It's just
think
somebody
about it this
named
way.
Alfonso. It's not really an actual person. It's not even a person. It's a computer program named Alfonso.
The style that they were sending to you, it actually opened your mind, right?
I'll tell you what I liked about it was I would get stuff in the box and I would pull it out, and my initial reaction was, oh, hell no, I'm not wearing that. And then I'd put it on and I'd stand in front of the mirror and Holly would go, that looks good on you. And then I'd wear it one day and then I'd go, you know what? Damn, I actually do kind of like this. This shirt I'm actually wearing was a Stitch Fix shirt. And when I first pulled it out of the box, I'm like, there's no way I'm wearing that black, short sleeve button down shirt. So it does give you a chance to maybe test your boundaries a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Experience. It's like going to a restaurant.
Yeah.
Trying something new.
That's great. Yeah. Great analogy. Yeah, that's right.
Opening up the palette.
Yeah. Yeah. What would you say the average age of your clients is?
I would say probably 55.
Yeah.
I tend to deal with a more mature client.
I would think that's that's sort of the age where you start thinking about who you want to be and caring a lot less about what people think about what you decide to be.
Well, also when I was doing, again, my stalking, say this word because I know I'm going to mess it up. Say it.
Sartorial.
Tell me about that, because I was reading a fascinating story about that, and you were talking about, just recently how your average age is a little bit older, but what my understanding is you guys go in and kind of help these underprivileged or underserved, right, young men, and help them find their style, and you are donating your time and your services to this. So talk about this.
Yeah, so a while back, there was a young man, he was autistic, and he wanted to improve himself. And he decided he wanted to, lack of a better way of saying it, be all he could be. He decided at some point he wanted to be a politician and started, I think I stumbled onto him in a menswear group on Facebook. And he asked a lot of questions. And you could tell just by every time he came out and said something, I typed it in. You could tell. At first, I was wondering if English was his first language because I didn't see any photos of him, and realized after just going back and reading some of the things that he posted, he claimed, or he said up front very openly, that he was autistic, severely autistic.
Okay.
And so it's like, okay, you got my interest. What's up? And he just used to ask a lot of questions. So, like, what is fit? How is it supposed to fit? What looks right, what doesn't? I don't understand that. And at some point, we just, I rallied a few of my friends, very senior people in the really no clothing. One's a very accomplished fashion writer, another designer, another retailer, and then just a bunch of kind-hearted individuals that are just clothing aficionados. And we got together one day, and I basically just made a shout out and said, hey, how do we help him? And
that's very cool.
Yeah. Then we all decided to get together, and I said, okay, I'm going to make him some outfits. And a couple of guys said, well, I'm around his size. We can donate them. And Jared, who actually lives in Winnipeg, Canada.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Jared said, he's the one that's a very accomplished writer. He said, let me call a couple people that I know, and they donated a shoe wardrobe.
Oh, wow. We need more people like that in the world.
We do.
That's reaching out.
And let me think of, I don't know how Jody got involved, but Jody jumped in, who lives in his home state, and said, I build closets, so let's build him a closet to house all this clothes.
That's so cool.
That we made for him. And then we went up to, Vancouver, Washington, and we all converged and took him out.
How cool
Oh,
is
that hits you in the heart
It
right
does.
there.
Yeah.
So we had a Glen Day at his local mall, and the mayor came out and spoke, and
how cool is
yeah,
that?
so it was a lot of fun.
So what is your, do you guys have plans to kind of continue this servant part of y'all's and just kind of
We
spread
do,
it?
but we're really selective.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of effort and coordination.
Oh, absolutely.
And
yeah.
It's a lot of emotion involved. There's a lot of tears being held back. Saw the response and how it was embraced.
Helping somebody achieve their goals is one of the best feelings in the world.
Well, yeah, but also sharing your gift without expecting anything in return, right? And then just being able to pass that knowledge that you have and all of your friends have onto this kiddo.
Has the downturn, like recession or whatever you want to call it, has that affected your sales?
Recently.
Yeah.
Not, I would say up until a few months ago, no. And then all of a sudden it's really like almost a grinding halt.
Yeah.
So
you would almost think that now is the time to stand out, right?
Yeah. But the world works in freaky ways.
Yeah, I know. But there's opportunity now when things are not good. There's a lot of people kind of just, falling forward. There's no purpose.
Well,
the people that are purposeful are the ones that are going to benefit.
There's also a lot of opportunists in the world. And, you and I were talking about this a couple of days ago about this social media influencer kind of path that these kids have just kind of created these job titles. And have you ever been approached by a social media influencer say, make me something and I'll promote you?
Yes.
How'd you handle that?
Click.
Yeah. I have some experience with that. So, negative experience with that. So I've done that before and it hasn't worked out. And, I just realized that, I have a talent or a skill. If you want it, you have to pay for it.
Yeah. I think that influencer thing is almost becoming like a cartoon. Like everybody thinks that you don't have a real job is basically what you're saying if you're calling yourself an influencer. There's some people out there that have influence on our culture, but they're not calling themselves influencers. Right. And they're not saying to people, hey, I can post your stuff and it'll help spread the word.
Well, it just goes to show you the climate of the world right now is how I guess people were during COVID, they were so influenced because there was nothing else going on in the world, right? And so now I think their eyes are getting open. It's like, you just want free stuff.
Yeah, it's true.
Right?
So David, how are you spreading the word about what you do? Are you active on social media? It sounds like you are.
Somewhat.
Yeah. Well, how do you spread the word?
I don't.
It's all word of mouth.
It's funny. In financial services, I was a great promoter, and for myself, I can't. It's hard to say, look at my stuff, look at me, look what I can do. It's really uncomfortable. I really need to hire a marketing person.
Well, that's funny.
I do.
Because you're basically a marketing person, but that one aspect of it you don't like to do.
I've always been told, just don't brag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I grew up with that. It was like when I ran cross country, my coach always told me, you brag with your running.
Yeah.
You go out and kick everybody's butt.
Yeah.
Then that's bragging. Right. Talking about how you're going to do it doesn't do anything.
No, just do it. Show me.
Yeah.
My bragging is my kids. My kids' success is
Really?
my brag. Yes.
No.
It's the greatest gift that I have.
It's true. Your kids are
those
great.
kids.
So David, what do you do in your spare time? I mean, you sound like you're super busy. What do you do when you're not working?
Just fun. Do you ever just get in some basketball shorts?
So we're actually horse people.
Oh.
Yeah, we have a couple of horses.
Oh, wow.
I used to ride quite a bit more than I do now. My wife is a competitive equine athlete.
Oh, wow.
And she trains daily and then trains with the horses. So yeah, I spend a lot of time at the barn with her.
Where do you keep your horses?
So we have two. We've got the old horses are at Pet Ranch, or so RCA, which is, I don't even know what the initials stand for anymore. That's over in Nutty Brown in 1826.
Okay.
And then Upland Farms is where she keeps her competitive Tito.
Does she compete? Does she go to events and
she
compete?
Does.
Oh, wow, that's cool. My daughter used to do that. There was a great community there.
Yeah.
And she's a retired police detective?
Yes.
Was that from what? Was that in Dallas?
No, it's California.
California.
So we're I don't want to say newly married couple. We've been married 11 years.
You're in trouble now.
Yeah, I had to think about it. We're together 13 years.
Yeah. How long was she a police detective in L.A.?
32 years.
Does she know
Actually,
O.J. Simpson?
She was on duty that night.
Was she really?
'Cause she covered West L.A.
Steve,
Yeah.
did you know O.J. Simpson?
I was joking.
Is he guilty?
She was also there when they rolled Michael Jackson into UCLA.
No
She
way.
was the senior sergeant on duty directing.
That's so funny.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Those are crazy.
Up
crazy
next
times.
on Mallett and Michelle,
Yeah, you got it.
David's wife.
Tracy. Yeah, bring Tracy on.
We are
stories.
So, David, how can people get in touch with you now that we've had you on the show? I'm sure you're going to get some people reaching out to you. How can they get in touch with you?
Let's see. You can go to davidambrico.com. It's my website.
Yeah.
You could also call me, which is 512-808-6005.
Okay.
And let me think where else. I guess you could look me up on social media.
Yeah.
That's how I found you.
Ambrico Custom Design.
Is that on Facebook?
That's
Or is it-
Instagram.
Instagram,
Facebook,
okay.
I think it's just David Ambrico.
Okay. And do you have pictures on your Instagram of people wearing your stuff?
I do.
Do they allow you? So
Yeah.
when you rebrand them, they allow you to take pictures. I'm going to have to check that out. So I'm still, here I am 60 years old, still trying to figure out what I want to look like, which is, sometimes it's frustrating, especially when Michelle gives me crap.
When
but
I
it's
bully
still,
you.
Yeah. But it's still kind of fun. I'll see stuff and I go, oh, I could wear that, and just trying something new.
I try to celebrate when you wear something that I haven't seen you wear before. And I'm like,
Well, probably you run into this, David. I'm a creature of habit and I gravitate towards the things that I'm comfortable in. So sometimes I'll actually stand in my closet and put something on and go, oh, hell no, I'm not wearing that today.
So if you do that too often, you got to get rid of the item.
I agree. Yeah. But I have, what's actually happened some days when I'm feeling really good about, maybe I've had a great workout or something and I put that same thing back on. I'm like, hell yeah, I could style this today. I'll wear it. So it goes to that attitude thing.
You know what, Steve? You're good enough. You're strong enough and people like you.
People like me. No, they don't.
David, thank you so much for joining us today and adding a little class to our show. We really appreciate that.
A lot of class.
Yeah, I can't wait. Everybody look at the picture that I'm posting on social media and you will know what I'm talking about.
He's styling. Even the socks. I just got a view of the socks. So yeah, David, thanks very much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
It was fun.
This show has been brought to you in part by the real estate pros at the Mallett Integrity Team. When you're looking to buy or sell, you need them on your side. Why settle for less when you can have real estate done right? Give them a call at 512-829-2062 or get more info at mallettintegrityteam.com.
You know you like us, so go now to Apple Podcast or Spotify and leave us a review. Why don't ya? We love your feedback and comments. Email us at mallettandmichelle@gmail.com.
Thanks for putting up with us.